Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Ginger Gadsden. This is Real Talk, a town hall on obstacles and opportunities in the Black community. Tonight, we will shine a spotlight on some of the people in our area who have broken barriers and become the first African Americans to achieve major milestones. Our panel will answer your questions about the hurdles they face, how they overcame them, and how you can too. Often, you hear the stories of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his fight for civil rights.
And I think this march will go down as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, demonstrations for freedom and human dignity ever held in the United States.
Or athletes like baseball greats Jackie Robinson crossing race lines, and Hank Aaron.
It was one of the toughest things in all of baseball to have to play in that type of situation. But I think that we did our share of tackling what we call racism in all of baseball.
And recently,
Kamala Davy Harris.
The vice president made history, becoming the first woman and person of color to serve in that role. But these groundbreaking achievements are also happening right here in Central Florida.
Your right hand and repeat after me.
Just days after Harris was sworn in, Judge Donna Gerner was sworn in as the first African-American woman circuit judge in Seminole County and to the 18th Circuit. In DeLand, the city welcomed the first Black female firefighter in the city.
If I could be that person to let, little girls know that, it's a possibility that you could be where I'm at too, that's definitely something that I would want to do.
And Erica Dunlap has been breaking barriers for almost 20 years. After becoming the first and only Black woman to win Miss Florida in 2003, she went on to win Miss America in 2004. And our very own T. Taylor.
There are times I would go out, people will call you the N-word.
The very first Black photographer at News 6 started in the 1970s. All of them overcoming obstacles to reach opportunities never before accomplished. It is really hard for me not to smile right now and be full of pride sitting among this panel tonight because we are talking to some of those trailblazers. They are Seminole County Judge Donna Gerner, Miss America winner, and the first Black Miss Florida, Erica Dunlap, News 6 photojournalist, the one and only T. Taylor, and Julian Serrano O'Neill, a Morehouse College student and Evans High School graduate who dedicates his time to helping others break barriers. I want to say first and foremost, thank you all so much for being here. It is truly an honor to have you all as a guest on our panel. And tonight we will be getting pretty personal, talking about where you are today and what it took to get there. So we want to start with Seminole County Judge Donna Gerner. As we mentioned, it has taken nearly 110 years since Seminole County was founded for a Black woman to be sworn in as a judge. And you finally changed that. This was your second attempt. So, Judge Gerner, what does this accomplishment mean to you?
It means quite a bit. First of all, thank you very much for the invitation and asking me to be here and allowing me to serve on this panel. That accomplishment means a lot to me. Because it was a goal that I wanted to accomplish. It was something that I had to work really, really hard for. And I think it means the world to me that because I worked so hard for it, I actually was able to accomplish that goal. So it's not even about being the first Black woman to do it. It's the fact that I was able to do it, especially in an environment where it was particularly difficult to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so the year was 2003. Erica Dunlap was crowned Miss Florida. You were the first and still the only Black woman to achieve that honor to this day. So Erica, what was that experience like for you? And you still look like you could hit the stage right now, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's in the contract. If you don't look like Miss America 10 years, 20 years after the fact, then you get revoked. I'm just kidding. But thank you again for having me. I love being with the Channel 6 family. And I will say that it is still such an honor for me to have the designation of being Miss Florida, but then also being able to represent my home state as Miss America was just the icing on the cake for just my childhood dreams come true. And 17 years later, I'm still very grateful for the opportunity to show that even though I'm the first, hopefully I won't be the last. And even though there has not been one since my crowning moment, that doesn't mean that that brick wasn't laid for a purpose. And so I'm looking forward to other young women being able to knock down their own barriers that exist.
Yeah, but you know, it takes more than one brick to pave that road, and you still have been the one and only Black woman to do this, and it may take some time before it's done again. So you went on, though, to win Miss America in 2004. Can you tell us a little bit what it was like competing on that stage, because the world was watching?
I'll tell you, the nature of a pageant, of course, is a competition. And so the fact that I'm the only Black woman to do it is more so, perhaps it's because the competitive element of the competition. But I would say that being Miss America was just life-changing. I was able to travel to over 40 states and traveled to Kuwait during Thanksgiving that year to serve our servicemen and women who were in conflict there. And so I got a chance to do so many amazing things. And I think back to the fact that being a girl from Orlando, Florida, I went to Boone High School, went to UCF, and I had big goals and big dreams, but I didn't really know that could be possible for me because it had never been done by someone that looked like me, and someone from where I'm from. So it was very exciting to be able to hold that and be able to hold that torch and pass it on.
Yeah, we're going to be talking a lot more about that coming up in the next hour of Real Talk. We want to move on now to our very own T. Taylor. He was the first Black man at News 6 to pick up a camera and document local history in the making. He started in the 70s and says he had to overcome racism in the community just to do his job on a daily basis. But local leaders say his work helped pave the way for them.
Perhaps I wouldn't be where I am today without people like T. Taylor.
I just want to say thank you, T, for being that community servant.
Indeed. And T, you have been at this for a long time. What has it been like being the first?
It has been a dream. It's one of those dreams that you never dream about. The story of my life, I like to call it from the fields of tobacco to the fields of dreams, because the places I've been, the things I've done, the people I've met, it could only be labeled as a fantasy. It's just not real, but it was in the cards for me to do this, and it's a role that I took on, and I'm proud that I was able to succeed in it.
Yeah, and T, but so many people, everywhere you go, you cannot hit a street corner here in Central Florida without people knowing who you are.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that has to feel pretty incredible.
Well, at first it was overwhelming, but then I realized of what I've achieved and the people that I've impressed along the way, that I just take it with a grain of salt, and I'm proud to be able to be recognized wherever I go. Like I say, it was kind of overwhelming at times, but I realized there's a purpose for this, and I've set the standard for those who come behind me, like Darren behind the camera shooting this, and the other Afro-American photographers and reporters, and not only reporters, but just women in general. We set the stages for them.
Yeah, and we all thank you for that, T. We look forward to talking to you more during this hour, too. So creating the next generation of leaders will not happen by chance. Julian O'Neill is the second vice president of the United Foundation of Central Florida. The nonprofit helps provide educational and mentorship opportunities for students right here in Central Florida. So Julian, you are actually part of this program. How has it molded you, and how are you using it to help others reach their full potential?
So firstly, thank you so much for having me here tonight. It's an honor to be here with the incredible panelists here tonight. And for me, it's been the passion and joy of my life to be able to work with the United Foundation of Central Florida, being able to directly give back to the people that helped me get to Morehouse College. It's been one of the greatest honors just to be able to impact someone after I have left Evans High School. I believe it's about just touching the life of at least one person. And if you do that, it'll ultimately impact 7 others. So for me, this is a journey that I'm excited to be on. I'm getting ready to graduate from Morehouse College soon. And so for me, it's just one of the greatest things to be able to give back to the community that made me who I am.
Yeah, and it's so important to give back. And, you know, are you hoping that the next generation, you know, they always say, just reach back and pull the next person along. Is that what you're doing?
Yes, ma'am. I believe in paying it forward. there were people that believed in me and pushed me forward. And so I strive to do that for others. And I do hope that the young people that come after me do the same. That is how we continue to succeed together.
Okay, so we're going to start things off with some viewer questions, because we've been soliciting for questions for the better part of a couple of weeks, and we have quite a few of them. And this one is going to be for everyone. And it's kind of a three-part question. It's from Amanda. And she says she wants to know what role models you had as a child, who inspired you, and who gave you the confidence you needed to succeed. So Judge Gerner, I'll let you take the first crack at that one.
Role models. Well, my first role models are my parents. I know that, my parents grew up in segregated Jacksonville, Florida, and that they did not necessarily have the opportunities that I had. I know that my father was told that the best he could hope to be when he growing up was to get a job at the railroad, CSX Railroad, or the post office. And my mom was her mother always told her, get your education, get your education, get your education, and to do things, but she really didn't have the means or the mechanism to move forward. In other words, she was told what to do, but not given any tools on how to do it, how to go about it. I know that her mother spent time as a cook and worked 2 and 3 different jobs, while my mom basically raised her 3 siblings. So they just didn't have the opportunities that I had, but they made sure that they paved the way for me and my sister, and made sure that we had everything that we could take advantage of. My mom always instilled in me, get your education, get your education, get your education, but they also provided the tools for me to do that. And that was a huge motivation. I had some mentors along the way as well. I actually would go, my mom went to junior college when she was 28 years old, and I would actually go to classes with her because she didn't have anyone who could babysit. And so one of her college professors became my mentor. My mom put me in Girl Scouts, and so my troop leader back then, they were role models as well, because they were very, really teaching you how to be self-sufficient, making sure that they paved the way, instilling in us those things that where right from wrong and how to handle certain situations. My Uncle Willie down the street, he lives 2 doors from my parents. They embraced me as a member of their family, and they've always been there for me as well. So, just people in my church, my pastors growing up. I sang in the choir growing up. So all of those people in my life growing up, my teachers in elementary school, through middle school, through high school, well, some of them in high school, and then in college. So, I've always had people placed in my life at certain aspects of my life, even in my career, that kind of gave me the motivation. I learned many, many lessons that kind of pushed me in the direction that I was heading in. And, and I had those goals too. So my parents basically sat me down at the table when I was very young and say, what do you want to do when you grow up? Do you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, or a dentist? So that was the first push, because I was like, well, I want to be a lawyer. My mom said, well, we'll see. Yeah. And so that was the first push.
You say very young,
I kind of
Judge
got
Gerner,
my goal that way.
You were 7 when you made that decision, 7. So it really did take a village, but it seems like you're doing okay. So Erica, the question is for you as well. Who inspired you and what gave you the confidence you needed to succeed?
Well, very much like Judge Garner, my parents were such a major force for my success. And as a child, I never felt like there wasn't anything that I couldn't accomplish, because they set the bar really high for me, and they had high standards. But at the same time, they made it available for me, and they made so many sacrifices to ensure that I was able to reach whatever goal that I set for myself. And fortunately for me, I'm the baby of several children, but on my mom's side, I have 4 older siblings, and they always treated me like their little baby doll. And so with that, I had to find a way to act like a big girl in order to hang out with them. And so my oldest sister was actually a fashion design major in Fort Lauderdale. And so when I was a child, she put me in her as her gimmick, if you will, for her final exam finale showcase for fashion design. And in doing so, it gave me the opportunity to walk on the runway for the first time when I was 3 years old. And in doing so, it prepped me to be ready for the stage and to do my first pageant when I was 6 years old. And that was always something I wanted to do because I was their baby doll. I was always wearing I think my ears were pierced when I was 2 months, and I always had bangles similar to now. I'm a life-size version of myself as a baby, but they always dressed me up, and so I always had that inner self-confidence of knowing that if I looked the part, then I could always get the part. And so my siblings were such a big force to me becoming Miss America. And besides that, there were so many women in the community who also played a major role in showing me what it meant to not only be a lady, but also to be a leader.
Oh, wow. That's incredible, Erica. Thank you. All right, T, we want to move on to you. Who inspired you and what gave you the confidence to do what you have done over these 51 years?
First of all, my mama. Second of all, the other mamas in the neighborhood. In other words, if they saw you doing something wrong, they would talk to you, attend to you, and then your mama would do it. And in school, my teachers, administrators, they all believed in you, even though at times I had what we call scatterbrain, wasn't paying attention, and they always say, Lorenzo, you will amount to something, but we don't know what it is, but you are going to amount to something. And then after high school and the Air Force, my role model was two officers, Chappie James and Benjamin Davis, Tuskegee Airmen, who I like to honor later in this program. And at Channel 6, so many people, Ben Akrick, Ev Hughes, Colin Murkison, those are the three gentlemen that took me in and gave me the initial interview. People like Jerry Chacon, Charles Wells, he was a lawyer, Charles Hawkins, he started the first banking institution in Washington Shores in '63 for people who couldn't go downtown and get a loan, and not just minority, but poor people in general. And another one, Paul Perkins, was a lawyer. These gentlemen, two gentlemen, took me in and basically welcomed me to the Orlando business world. I remember an incident with Charlie Hawkins. He was on the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. I walked in to cover a meeting. He stopped the meeting and introduced me to everybody. And to me, that's always a lasting impression because she cared. So throughout my life, high school, the Air Force, and here at Channel 6, I have so many role models to look up to, so many.
Yeah, and you are a role model to so many of us here at News 6, so we appreciate that. All right, Julian, the same question
happy
for
to
you.
be.
Yeah, absolutely. Julian, same question for you. What inspired you and what gave you the confidence? Because just reading your background, you did not have it easy.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So I just want to echo the sentiments of everyone else. I had parents, they may have not gone to college. I'm the first one in my family, but they showed me what it meant to grind for what you wanted in life. They showed me what it meant to strive, to reach your dreams. They wanted the best for me. And so I understood that they had that passion, that I could have it too. But when I think about mentors and role models that were crucial in my life, I think of Mrs. Sandra Fatme Hall, Mr. Dennis Hall, Mr. Ali Braswell, and so many others that collectively came together to invest in my life. These are people that have been committed to their communities for a long time. And I had the opportunity to look at them, to embrace the knowledge that they came with. For me, that was everything. Being able to see several black men and women that look like me, talk like me, go on and be great in the professions that they were in. But it didn't stop there. Although they were great in the work that they did, they gave back to the community. So I was able to see individuals that did not forget about where they came from. So for me, that's what really strives. I drive to be like those individuals. Mr. Dennis Hall, he is a man of outstanding honor. I hope to be a man like him one day when I grow older in my life. And he's just been an outstanding person in my life. Miss Sandra Fatme Hall and Mr. Ali Braswell, they have collectively given their all, not just to me, but to other young people. Miss Sandra has an after-school program that I have the honor of working with right now, and they've graduated 99 students. For me, that is exceptional. I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to help others succeed and reach their goals. And seeing people willing to do that for me meant everything in my life.
Yeah,
everything.
And it seems like the common theme here is that you all had a village to help attend to make sure that you stayed on the straight and narrow too. And trying to be one of the first comes with personal sacrifice, as we all know. And one Central Florida man sacrificed everything as he tried to become one of the first to vote in Ocoee. The Orlando Regional History Center says the KKK captured and lynched Julius July Perry after he tried to cast his ballot November 3rd, 1920. Last November, 100 years later, a stretch of Silver Star Road was dedicated in his honor. State Senator Randolph Bracy III proposed the bill to rename that stretch of roadway. And Bracy's mom also sacrificing so much herself. Dr. LaVon Bracy spoke to News 6's Lisa Bell about what it was like to be one of the first Black people to help integrate a white school in Gainesville.
Even if they kill me, I'm going to go back. I have to go back because I have to win.
LaVon Bracy has never backed away from winning or from fear. As the first and only African-American to graduate from Gainesville High in 1965, the threats against her life were real.
So every day that I would go to school, I would find dead rats, roaches, snakes under my seat. I'd have tacks in my seat, and I get these awful, awful letters each day. And indicating that this would be the last day on earth because I'm in that class and they don't want Blacks in their class.
Bracy had a daily police escort from her house to the school, but that security ended once on campus. She vividly remembers arriving one morning only to be attacked by 6 male students.
They beat me unmercifully. I really thought that that would be the last day I would be on the earth. I went to the principal. I was bleeding profusely, told him I had been attacked. And the principal said, "How do I know that you didn't leave home like that? I didn't see anybody attack you. And if by chance they did, you should know by now that you're not welcome."
But Bracy was determined, and she persisted. Today, amid Black Lives Matter protests, progress against racism has been made. But as the mom of Florida State Senator Randolph Bracy, she still feels the need to have the talk with her son.
For us to say that it does not happen, we aren't being truthful with ourselves. And we really just need to look at it and say, all of us need to say, how can we start healing the nation and resolving the problems of racism that exists?
When you think about yourself as a young woman and everything you endured at Gainesville High School, and then you look at the inaugural stage and you see Kamala Harris up there, but you also see a young woman, Amanda Gorman, the poet laureate, who wowed the world.
There was always light.
She was amazing. 22 years of age. And the promise of what is to come.
Do you think we're headed in the right direction?
I think we're headed in the right direction.
What an incredible story and an incredible life, and so many sacrifices she made being the first. And I just have to say quickly, she has written a book, and if you have the time, you should get it and read it. It is excellent. It's a children's book, but it is so powerful. I've read it several times, and I cry every single time I've read it. And it's just amazing to see that. And you see her there. 100 years ago, it was July Perry. 1964 is when this all happened to her. So it's recent history. So July Perry was killed after trying to vote. And Dr. LaVon Bracy described the physical harm she endured, just torture, just trying to go to school. But Dr. Bracy said at the end of that she believes our country is going in the right direction. So I want to pose that question to you, Judge Gerner. What do you think?
I think that our country is headed in the right direction, and I think that everyone in our country has come to realize that I'm trying to figure out the right words to say or how to say it properly, but I just noticed in my own experience when I was running for judge in 2020 that it was a whole lot different than the experience I had when I ran for judge the first time in 2014. Even the reception was much different. I do recall in 2014 when I ran for judge, for example, that I went to go put one of my signs at a business, and I asked the owner for permission to place my sign. And of course, I'm running for judge, so it's a nonpartisan position. And his response to me was, I can't let you put your sign at my business because I caught a lot of flack and lost a lot of business back when Barack Obama was president and when he was running for president. And of course, in my mind's eye, I'm thinking, well, what is Barack Obama being elected in 2012 have to do with me running for judge in 2014? Mm-hmm. Are you making the assumption that because I'm black, I'm a Democrat or whatever? I'm like, this is a nonpartisan position. But in 2020, the reception was wholly different. Nobody even raised an issue or intimated it was anything about race. And of course, my platform was never about race. And so I think that people now are looking at qualifications and experience, and they're looking at what Martin Luther King asked us to look at. Judge me by the content of my character, not by the color of my skin. And I think in as much as people in the past have said that, they didn't really mean it. Yeah. This time around, it's showing that people actually do mean that they want to judge us by the content of our character and not the color of our skin, by our qualifications and by our experience. So absolutely. In that regard, this country is heading in the right direction.
Okay, so Erica, what are your thoughts? Are we going in the right direction?
I think we're going in the right direction, but sometimes we get a little misguided. And I feel strongly that if we don't take advantage of being able to see these history makers like Dr. LaVon Bracey, who I'm fortunate to claim as a mentor. She's just such a phenomenal example of how far we've come. However, as we saw last year, there's a long way to go. And so there are so many people who want to see progress and want to see results and solutions, but we have to find ways to come together and to not only embrace diversity, but truly allow people to join in and be a part of the inclusion of just recognizing the diversity is not enough. We have to also make sure that there are allowances for inclusion.
Yeah. Julian, the same question.
Yeah, so I do think we're going in the right direction, but as Ms. Dunlap said, there is a lot of work that needs to be done. We need to be able to be inclusive and equitable in all things that we do. That is how we continue to go into the right direction. So there are roadblocks that we face in life, and it's about overcoming those. And I know we'll get into that more this evening, but it's about coming together collaboratively to workshop our experiences. That's how we continue to move forward. So yes, we're moving in the right direction, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and we need to do it together.
Sure. All right, T, what do you think? Is our country going in the right direction?
You know, Ginger, there are times I think yes, there are times I think no. There are pockets of resistance throughout America. I think the country goes as the leadership goes. And I made this example before. Under Barack Obama, people had the same feelings that they had under the past administration. But there was a respect across America that people wouldn't get all riled up and radical about things. But as soon as the leadership changed and was so loud and boisterous, people felt that they could be themselves and let it out. But now there's a calming of America, and like I say, there's still pockets of resistance, but we have overcome a lot. I look around the newsroom at the different the people of color we have in there, and not only that, the women of different backgrounds that we have in our newsroom, not only here at 6, but around the nation, and in other businesses. So we do have a lot to be thankful for, but we do have a little ways to go, and don't want people to take life for granted. That's when we have setbacks.
Yeah, and you talked about, not just locally women making a difference, but you're talking about across the country. And so that leads us right into our next segment. After Vice President Kamala Harris became the first woman and person of color to be sworn in as the Vice President of the United States, people across the nation and right here in Central Florida reacted. This is what a law student at Florida A&M University in Orlando had to say about the historic election.
To know that Dr. Biden is now the first lady, and then to see that Vice President Madam Kamala Harris is in there at the same time, it's one of those moments where it's like, I can do this.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And so many people were of the mindset that they would never see something like that happen. And, that's a woman on a college campus. And Julian, you work with young people. How important is it for them to see people like them in positions of leadership?
It's crucial. I say it changed my life to be able to see more individuals that look like me in positions. But not only that, people that look like me that are willing to reach back and work with us. So it's important for them to see us. It's important for us to be in these positions because it shows them that there is something that they can be beyond what the narrative has been in their lives or in their communities or what people have pushed upon them. So to see someone like Vice President Kamala Harris in leadership positions of this, it's imperative. That drives, it's a passion, it's a fire on the inside. And we need to continue that fire. We need to continue to keep our young people civically minded, living civic lives of leadership. That's where it starts. That's not where it ends, but that's where it starts. So it's crucial to have people that look like us.
And we want to get to some more viewer questions because we have a lot of them for each of you. This one is for Judge Gerner. Can you tell us more about the types of cases you try and how you believe you can have an impact in that role?
Right now, I'm currently assigned to the juvenile division. In the juvenile division, we handle delinquency cases, dependency cases, probate cases, guardianship cases, and mental health cases. And so with the juvenile delinquency cases, I believe that the role I can play is helping to do my best that I can to see that the juveniles who are getting in trouble now do not get in trouble as adults. I know I had to lecture one man the other day about the road that he was going down and saying, hey, if you keep going down this road, you're going to wind up in one of two places, and that's going to be prison or in the grave. And, I said, this is what you need to do, and it's up to you to get there. And so I think I can mold individuals in that regard. In dependency cases, the same thing with parents who are having issues with their families and their children, just to encourage them the best that I can so that they can have a better bond with their children, be better parents, and head in the right direction. I know a lot of those individuals have mental health issues are a component, drug use is a component, and a lot of what I deal with is people that have issues with either mental health issues or drug abuse issues. And so all I can do is encourage them the best they can, the best I can, so that they can hopefully change their life, turn their lives around. I remember when I was practicing, I would have clients, and one of my clients, I had to give him the lecture. I said, he had an opioid addiction. And I said, look, I had to say, don't do this for your family. Don't do this for anybody. I said, even if you don't want to do it for yourself, you have a daughter, and your daughter needs her father. And I think that's what got through to him, and he has turned his life completely around. And so that's where I hope to be a motivation in the division I'm in currently.
Yeah, you had your own version of Real Talk. Erica, this one is for you. This person wants to know, do you think your win helped change beauty standards, specifically in the pageant world, in a way that would allow more Black women to follow in your footsteps?
I do. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be a dark-skinned Black woman who was able to be Miss Florida and Miss America. And I say that because oftentimes we see pictures of Vanessa Williams and other women who look more like her, who are reflected as the standard of beauty for Black women. And it took quite some time for a darker skinned Black woman who had all the features of any other Black woman who may not have felt like they were a competitor or felt like they could be a part of the Miss America program, which was really the standard of beauty for so many years. I would say that I feel really honored to be able to have that distinction of not just being a beautiful woman, but to have the package, the whole well-rounded package of being a young lady who is committed to her community and who has a platform issue and a cause that she is dedicated to, but also someone who's articulate and who can express themselves in such a way that people understand what you're saying and they want to hear more of what you're saying. As a title holder, I tell young ladies all the time, you are your very own walking billboard. And so it's important for you to be able to express yourself adequately and be able to show people exactly what your hometown and what your upbringing, what your family has invested in you, for you to be that spokesperson, for you to be that, that PR representative, if you will, for not only the state, but also for the country. So I'm grateful that I had that chance to show other young women that you don't have to look a particular way in order to be seen as someone who is important and honorable and who has the authority to represent.
Oh, I love that so much. T, this one is for you. It's from a fellow journalist. Kelly is wondering, what was the most challenging story you've had to cover during your career? And I will caution you, T, we are on a time limit because I know you've covered some things and I heard part of some of your stories, so you have to keep it concise because you have a lot of stories that were challenging.
You know, the one that comes to mind, it wasn't challenging, but it was, I've made many trips abroad. I've been to Africa twice. The one trip to Senegal, Dakar, Senegal. And off the coast, there's an island named Gorée Island. And on that island is the House of Slaves, the place where slaves were shipped to America. And the stories and the experience I had there was just incredible. I'll always carry that through life. So, but throughout, just the fact that me with my skin color and a camera on my shoulder, early in my career, made a lot of stories hard to do until I finally came up with an idea on how to beat the system. But we've all had challenges like that.
Yeah. And you've had so many, and I learned so much. Our reporter Jerry Askin did a story with you recently, and just the fact how you had to encounter people calling you the N-word, and you still had to go and cover a story, and they wouldn't let you in a certain way, and you refused to do it their way or shoot the story until they allowed you in where everyone else could go. I mean, that had to be. Well, was it hard to stand up for yourself like that, knowing that you could face pushback?
You know, it wasn't hard, Ginger, because I grew up that way. I look at people like Jackie Robinson. It was hard for him. Rosa Parks, it was hard for her. And my favorite group of people, the Tuskegee Airmen, it was hard for them. A lot of people don't know the Tuskegee Airmen started the first non-violent protest in America by protesting the treatment they received on the Air Force bases. And they started the nonviolent protest, and it picked up into the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, well, those are some really strong role models. Julian, someone wants to know, what are some ways you have given back to the Pine Hills community?
Yes, ma'am. So through the United Foundation of Central Florida, I've been able to help host weekly food distributions as we target food insecurity. I've been able to work with young people. I've actually given scholarships to young people that have gone on to Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, Clark Atlanta University, and a couple of other institutions. So that's just a bit of what I get to do on a daily. I get to interact with these young people, and what we do with them, they take home to their families. So I get to make direct impacts on these young people. And I got to say, it's easier to change a community when you start with the young. They're more impressionable. They're willing to absorb and take in. And when they get home to their family starts to see the change in them, and they're like, wow, let me try to absorb what it is that my child is doing on a daily. And it starts to change the dynamic of a household. So it's very simple. It's working directly with the community, with these young people. I've gone to countless community council meetings advocating on the residents of Pine Hills for the resources that they need. So it's about being where you need to be when you need to be there.
Sure, you're not just talking it, you're walking it too. So,
Thank you.
And I know people in the community really appreciate that. And you say, that it's important for young people to see that and to start with the young people. And I just have a question, and this happened with an experience. I did a story recently on a young violinist, a local violinist. She's 13 years old, and she wants to one day go to Carnegie Hall, right? And she says that there aren't very many people who look like her in classical music, and she would like to have more mentors and role models, but she's taking it upon herself to be that face for the next generation of young people who want to play classical music. And so we focused on her story, and I got an email in the middle of the night of this woman saying that, why do we have to focus on her race? Why can't we just focus on her beautiful talent? Why is it so important? And Erica, I'll start with you. Why is it so important that that young girl see someone like her doing what she hopes to do?
I don't know who the person was who sent you the email, but I would imagine that they're coming from a significant place of privilege and not understanding why it's important to see role models who you can identify with. When you see something, you can be something, you can become that thing. And when you don't understand why it's important to highlight the fact that, the race factor, it's not the end all be all, but it is very important. When you see someone who looks like you, who has accomplished something great, you see a broader potential for yourself. So for myself, I didn't see another woman who was Miss Florida necessarily, but I did watch Miss America when Debbie Turner became Miss America in 1990. And I remember she was my virtual role model, if you will, for such a long time, because I didn't have anyone else that I could reach out and touch and talk to who had those same experiences that I knew that I wanted to emulate. And so it's vital for that young woman to see other people in position. And so I hope that if she's watching, she knows that, with the use of the internet and the use of technology, she can certainly see many more people who look like her, who are endeavoring to open doors, but it's also her opportunity to open doors for the future generations, and showing that specific talent is not exclusive to one group or another.
Yeah, and T, I have the same question for you, because being the first and the person who is on the other side of the camera where you are right now is our chief photojournalist, Darren, who is an African American. So you paved the way for him, and now he's at the highest level here in that position. Why is it so important that young people see people who look like them in roles that they would like to do?
Because it gives them hope. A lot of people don't know where to go or how to go about it. But when you look around and you see different people of color in different positions, it gives the young people hope. And also you have to have the right temperament, you have to have patience, and most of all, you got to be nonviolent about it, because, Ginger, there's always somebody out there want to make you what they want you to be, not who you are.
Yeah, that is the truth. That is the truth. So, Judge Gerner, why is it so important that we have role models who look like us? Because we honestly, we got an email from someone, one of the questions, and I won't read it, but I'll just kind of summarize it, saying that you guys, you've achieved it. Look at the screen right now. You're here. So what do you say to people who think that, instead of saying we shall overcome, you have overcome, you've made it?
Exactly. And I echo the same sentiment as Erica and Tim, because, in my profession, I didn't see any other black judges. I mean, I didn't see any black judges in Seminole County or in Brevard County. And it wasn't until I believe James E.C. Perry was appointed in 2000. And I believe shortly before the appointment, I'd actually been called and interviewed and asked about diversity on the bench. And my response to that question was laughter followed by what diversity? Because that was not something that happened and that was not something that was seen. I think Orange County maybe had a couple of African-American judges, but not in Seminole County, not in all of Brevard. And I mean, you know how big Seminole County and Brevard County is. Brevard County is very, very long and it's very, very populous. And so it's absolutely necessary for others to see us in these positions. It's a motivator. It's motivational. In fact, I had one of a black attorney who was a friend of mine who said, you know what, Donna, you did this. And now I'm going to apply for an appointment to a position. This is an attorney who had never even considered it before, but now that he's seen me do it, he's like, well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to apply because I can do it too. And, you know, and it's great to be a motivation to other blacks, particularly other black attorneys, to know that they can see me doing it and that they can do it too. Yeah. And I'm more than happy to be a motivation, you know, if I can do that for someone else.
I'm so glad you gave that example because it just really drives home the point of how important in this day and age. You know, we hope that we have to stop saying the first this, the first that, but until such time, that's where we are right now.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
And we want to talk about some more first. The first black woman to coach pro baseball is taking to the diamond in Fort Myers, and this is pretty impressive. The Red Sox recently hired Bianca Smith. The move comes more than 60 years after the team became the last Major League Baseball team to integrate. She says her job is about more than just herself.
I knew it was going to be a pretty big deal. This actually ended up being, I didn't realize how big this was to people. But to me, this is just an opportunity to hopefully inspire other women of color who are interested in this game, who might even have the idea that they want to coach, but because they've never seen somebody who looks like them doing it, it never really occurred to them that they could do it too.
It just never occurs until you see someone who looks like you actually doing it. And you know, this past weekend, NASCAR brought its biggest event to Central Florida. The Daytona 500 drew crowds to Daytona Beach to see a long list of drivers, including NASCAR's only top-tier black driver. We're talking about Bubba Wallace, who called out for change last summer. His message heard loud and clear.
We'll just keep moving on. We'll keep pushing the needle and fighting for what's right in this sport.
You know, the only way you can really get through any kind of conflict is trying to understand the other person's side. And I think that's the biggest thing that we all can do is just listen and learn and try to understand what that is. And I feel like we've done that. And I think now there's some real impact that's coming along with it.
Yeah, and racers are voicing their support for Bubba Wallace, and NASCAR has taken action by banning the rebel flag after Bubba requested it do so. So I feel like that is a major change, game changer for people who, because there are black fans who like NASCAR, but sometimes they just don't feel welcome. I do want to ask Erica a quick question, because recently we saw what happened in country music with Morgan Wallen, right? He used the N-word, Erica. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't know, and I didn't know this until our own Bridget Ellison brought this to our attention. You were in that world for a while. You tried to make it as a country music star. Tell us a little bit about, do you think that there's progress being made right now? Because there is a movement to welcome more African Americans.
You know, I spent 5 years in Nashville, Tennessee from 2005 when I graduated from UCF until 2010 when I decided to make the transition back to Orlando. And in that time, I spent countless hours and countless dollars in production for a joint venture, which I produced my own country music album, and it somewhat fell short. It was before the age of YouTube, where it was popular to get on YouTube and sell yourself, and you had to really make it or break it in Nashville, in Music City, on Music Row. And I will say that there are some advances, but for the most part, you know, it's still kind of the same. It's a good old boy network that a lot of black artists haven't been able to penetrate. And so I think that, you know, it's unfortunate because they're missing out. There's so many people who are missing out on such great talent, and all of our potential, all of our purposes are tied to people. And so when we aren't inclusive of the people who have this tremendous talent and who can really impact and impart such the inspiration that's necessary. Music is such a beautiful motivator and such a beautiful language that everybody can speak, if you will. Not having that door open for you is, it's disheartening. Being in Nashville for as long as I was, and being Miss America, I automatically assumed that I was going to be able to open this door that a lot of other Black women had endeavored, but was never able to seal the deal. And it got me in the room, but it didn't mean being Miss America wasn't the end all be all to me becoming a success in that industry. And I wish that it were a lot different. I'm grateful to Mickey Guyton for going through the process and seeing it through and being able to be received the way that she has. I'm still a performer, and I'm still a singer. That part of my life has kind of been put on the back burner due to a variety of experiences, particularly in Nashville. But I hope that it does increase, and I hope that there is more of a demand for a diverse representation in the music industry, especially in country music.
Well, I think the world missed out, and maybe you'll give it another try.
Thank you.
All right, so T, you've seen a lot of things in your years. What will it take to get to a place where everyone truly has equal opportunity to pursue their dreams?
I really don't know the answer to that, but this is what I'd say. I've opened that door. I've held it open. Those who've come behind me, they're opening the door and hold it open. And hopefully they will allow, not only in this profession, this field, but other businesses, allow people to come through that door, because there's never enough of us to go around. Never enough.
Yeah, and you hit it, because just hold the door open for the next person, and hopefully they will pass that along as well. Judge Gerner, same question for you.
It is more than holding the door open. I think, we do our job, and when we're the first to do something, we have to do the job well. We have to be an example. So it's more than just setting the standard and being the first. We also have to be an example and reach out. The people who want to be a mentor, be a mentor. The people whom you've motivated. My door is open. Call me, ask me. I will answer your questions. I will give you information. I'm here, and I'm not here just to play a role. I'm here to walk the walk and to talk the talk and to be the example, and whatever I can do to give you guidance to follow me, then come on.
Yeah, there's room for everyone. That's what a lot of people don't realize. There's room for all of us at the table. So Julian, same question. What do you think it's going to take for where we get to a place where everyone truly has equal opportunity to pursue their dreams?
Yes, ma'am. Well, before I answer that question, I want to say to Judge Gardner, Ms. Dunlap, and Mr. Taylor, thank you for being stewards in your fields. Although we are practitioners of different industries, you have paved the way for someone like myself. So thank you for living your life in excellence, class, and grace. But to answer that question, I think we have to be willing to come together, every single one of us, with a equal goal and a mission to strive beyond what we know today. That's how we get to that next step. I believe in, again, paying it forward. We're always going to face challenges in our lives, and we're always going to have setbacks. But it's not about how hard you fall or when you fall or how you fell, but it's about how you get up and how you continue going. So in order to move forward and be great together, we have to work together. That's how we do that. We have to address these institutional racism that's going on in this country. And we have to tackle that hard. The judicial system, we have to tackle those issues hard together.
Yeah, so Erica, the same question for you. What do you think it really, truly is going to take for all of us to have an equal opportunity to pursue our dreams?
Well, there's more than enough room. There's more than enough for everybody. And why can't I have an opportunity to be the very best at something? Why can't I have, equal access to the goals and dreams of those who have made it. And so I think it's important for us to just keep in mind that putting people in a box excludes you from really being able to see the brilliance in that person. You know, every one of us has something that only we came to this earth to give. And I only have a finite time on earth, so I want to give everything I've got with what I've been given. And I think it's important that we allow people to be able to do that.
Yeah. Okay, so, you know, what I love about having these panels is that I get the opportunity to meet such amazing people. But before I meet you all, you do research. And, you know, while I knew some of you, I didn't know all of you. And Judge Gerner, you're one person I did not know about. And the more I researched your history, being from Jacksonville and now where you are right now, I learned that you are an excellent singer. And so we have two singing sensations on our panel. Yay! And it is really something that just brings people together and it unites people. And you know, you grew up in the church. Your dad is a deacon, if I understand correctly,
yes,
right?
And he actually sang in a gospel group growing up.
Okay.
So we were in church all Sunday, every Sunday.
I hear you. Pack a lunch because you're going to be there all day. So I would love for you to grace us or bless us with just something really meaningful for this period in our time.
Okay. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty above the fruited plains. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Holy cow.
That was
great. Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
See, that's what
I'm
that
crying
talent
right
needs
now.
to be expressed. People need to be able to see the breadth of her. She's not just a brilliant person, but she's also very talented and inspirational, and that inspiration is within. It's got to come out. So we need to be able to hear all of the young people, anybody who has that kind of talent, we need to hear it.
Oh, Erica, I'm going to let you just take over right
Thank
now.
you, Erica.
That's why I wanted her to do it, because when I
Yes.
heard her, I was like, what an inspiration. What a multifaceted, many-layered woman she is. She's not just a judge.
Mm-hmm.
She's so many things. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
You know, thank you all for being here tonight. I could not have asked for a better panel of people. And I just want to leave you all with a quote before we wrap up. Former slave turned abolitionist and political activist Harriet Tubman said it this way: every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars, to change the world. So with a big thank you, Seminole County Judge Donna Gerner, Miss Florida and Miss America winner Erica Dunlap, News 6 photojournalist, the one and only T. Taylor, and Julian Serrano O'Neill. Thank you all for joining us tonight. And thank you to our audience for your participation in Real Talk and for submitting your questions. Have a wonderful night.